because they felt it was an abomination for the Egyptians to be eating with a Hebrew. Because they knew he was a Hebrew. So Joseph and his brothers sitting together. And the rest of the Egyptians sitting by themselves. So now Joseph, he could no longer refrain himself. Read the verse 1 again.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, cause every man to go out from me. Cause every man to go out from me, and there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren.
See, so he put all the Egyptians out, and then he made himself known to his brothers. Because they didn't even know who he was. Now, how is it that if somebody is white, or a person that's called himself Jew and is white, how is it that he can pass for an Egyptian? And his own brothers not even know him? That don't make sense, does it?
No, sir.
So Joseph was black, his brothers were black, and we know that the Egyptians were black, don't we?
Yes, sir.
This is just common reading, common sense. Go ahead and read some more.
Verse 2.
And
he wept aloud. And the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard.
Go ahead.
And Joseph said to his brother, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live?
See, he said, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? Go ahead and read. They didn't know what to do. Because we done threw this cat in the hole and everything. And look at what he said. Go ahead.
And his brethren could not answer him. they were troubled at his presence.
They was in shock. They couldn't figure out who this guy was at first. They didn't even know who it did. Why? Because he was black. He was dressed like an Egyptian. He was black like an Egyptian, dressed like an Egyptian. He was talking like an Egyptian. So, to them, he was what? An Egyptian. And so when they find out, this Joseph, they shocked. They like, man, we in trouble now. Read that over.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence.
Go ahead.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt.
You see that? He said, I'm your brother who you sold into Egypt. I ain't forget what y'all done. Go ahead and read.
Now therefore be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life.
God did send me here to preserve life. He sent Joseph there to preserve life. But his own brothers didn't know him. And he in the land of black people, which were the Egyptians. But why didn't his brothers know him? Because Joseph was black just like his brothers were, just like the Egyptians were. That's why they couldn't tell. Let's go now. We're gonna get deep down into this. Because people got a problem when you tell them that the children of Israel are black when you can read it right here in the Bible. You know why why is it got to be something racist? Why don't it have to be a black black military? You trying to start a black militia or whatever they brothers be talking about? Why? When we're reading it out of the Bible. Let's go now. Let's go to Acts the 7th chapter. Acts 7. And we're going to pick it up at verse 15. Acts 7 and 15. Acts 7 and 15. Get that picture ready. Not that one. Acts 7 and 15. Acts 7 and 15. Everybody got it?
Amen.
Go ahead and read.
Excuse me.
See it?
So Jacob went down into Egypt and died, he and our fathers.
I'm not the only one under the weather. Start it over.
So Jacob went down into Egypt and died. He and our fathers.
Go ahead.
And were carried over into Sychem and laid in the sepulchre that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Emor, the father of Sychem. But when the time of the promise drew nigh, which God had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt.
So now the children of Israel, they grew and they multiplied in Egypt. You know, they had the land of Goshen. Go ahead and read.
Till another king arose, which knew not Joseph. The same dealt subtly with our kindred.
He said the same dealt subtly with our kindred. I mean, they treated them harsh. Go ahead and read.
And evil entreated our fathers.
And evil entreated our father. Go ahead.
So that they cast out their young children to the end they might not live.
So, because that's what they were doing. They was killing the young children. But he said, the same dealt subtly with our kindred, and evil entreated our father. Now, let me show you something here. We're going to show you a picture, and I want you to read this caption right here. This right here, you see, this is an Egyptian with a stick in his hand. Go ahead and read that, though.
An Egyptian slave endures a flogging.
An Egyptian slave endures a flogging. He said, the people dealt subtly with our kindred and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children to the end that they might not live. So he said what?
An Egyptian slave endures a flogging in this fresco from a tomb of the new kingdom. The number of slaves in Egypt increased dramatically during the New Kingdom, 1570 to 1085 BC. As a result of foreign conquests, the Israelites were enslaved during this period.
Ooh, you see that? The Israelites were enslaved during this period. You see that? You got a black man, which is an Egyptian, flogging a black man, which is what? An Israelite. Now, if that, you know, this is, we didn't make this up, did we?
No, sir.
This come out of a tomb. An Egyptian, which is a black man, flogging another black man, which is an Israelite. And you got the one standing behind it like, you know, not me next. But, you know, the thing is that the Egyptian, which is black, is flogging the black man, which is an Israelite. And if that ain't proof that the Israelites are black, then I don't know what is. What other proof do we need? But you know, the Israelites didn't change colors though. I'm going to show you that. They didn't change colors because now we're down in the 21st century. Now the Israelites change colors. No, it don't happen like that. But we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's go now. Let's go back to Acts, the 7th chapter. Pick it back up at verse 19. Pick it back up verse 19. Go ahead and read it.
The same dealt subtly with our kindred, and evil entreated our fathers, so they cast out their young children to the end they might not live. In which time Moses was born, and was exceeding fair, and nourished up in his father's house 3 months. And when he was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up.
Oh, wait a minute now. Pharaoh's daughter took Moses in?
Yes, sir.
Well, Pharaoh's daughter is black, ain't she?
Yes, sir.
An Egyptian. You mean tell me this Egyptian woman took this black baby, this white baby, whom Pharaoh was killing the Israelites at this time. He was killing the babies at this time, wasn't he? So now, she gonna go grab one of them, and then the father like, oh yeah, that's a nice little baby you got there. Ain't that one of them Hebrew children? Because he would have known right off the bat, wouldn't he? If he was the color that we see the ones that call themselves Jews today or Israelites today, which are white people, they look like white people, which they not, they Hebrews. Okay, they not Gentiles, they're Hebrews. In fact, they are our twin brother. But if the Israelites look like that, like our twin brother Esau, then Pharaoh would have known right off the bat that his daughter didn't have his baby. But go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. In which time Moses was born and was exceeding fair and nourished up in his father's house 3 months. And when he was cast out, Pharaoh's daughter took him up and nourished him for her own son. And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of Egyptians, and were mighty in words and in deeds.
And Moses was learned in all wisdom of the Egyptians and was mighty in words and deeds. Go ahead.
And when he was full 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brethren, the children of Israel.
Wait a minute now. He knew he was an Israelite?
Yes, sir.
But he grew up in Pharaoh's house?
Teach.
Look at this. You know, not like we saw in the movie. You know, so a woman found a cloth, and now Moses found, I'm a Hebrew. No, it didn't happen like that. Moses knew that he was a Hebrew. And his mama knew that he was a Hebrew too. Go ahead and read.
24. And seeing one of them...
But how could he pass for her son if he was white? Seeing that Pharaoh was killing the babies at that time. Pharaoh would have killed him on the spot. Just like, keep reading.
Yes, sir. 24. And seeing one of them suffer wrong, he defended him and avenged him that was oppressed and smote the Egyptians.